It is so close now. They can taste it. Minnesota just needs one win. LSU is going to have to win 2 in this best-of-3 series to make it to the Women's College World Series, but no one better in elimination games than Beth Torina's LSU Tiger team. Look at those numbers in regionals and super regionals. She said we don't make it easy, but they still figure out a way to win.
Yeah, after the game yesterday, we had a chance to talk to her, and we said, you're right where you want to be. This is you're the most comfortable being uncomfortable. She gave us that little sly grin, but the numbers do not lie. That is a very impressive resume.
LSU will be the home team today in this matchup. And Carol, this was maybe our biggest question, who we would see in the circle for the Tigers. It'll be Maribeth Gorsuch.
Yeah, they go with Gorsuch, really the emotional leader of this pitching staff. You know, comes and does a lot of fist pumps and gets the team going. So no surprise from that standpoint from Beth Torina. Throws the ball very hard, gives LSU an opportunity to get off to a good start here today. But LSU's been pitching by committee all season long. I fully expect to see more than one pitcher in this game today.
Our starting lineup for Minnesota brought to you by Capital One. We'll see McKenna Partain, a terrific leadoff hitter all year for the Gophers, followed by Maddie Houlihan, who maybe had the biggest day with her bat yesterday. Hope Brandner, Natalie Den Hartog, one of 3 NFCA Freshman of the Year finalists there in that top 4. This is such a tough lineup for Minnesota. I mean, they are going to bring it with their offense.
Yeah, and especially the top 4 hitters in that lineup. So important for LSU to control them because they are the ones, the first 4 that put up the runs, the RBIs. They are just stacked together at the top of the order, and they've been performing all season long.
McKenna Partain, junior out of Banks, Oregon. Hitting over 400 for the season, and yesterday broke the single season record for runs scored across the plate for the 66th time this season.
You know, Partain is one of those hitters that fills up the entire stat sheet or box score. And she's just very quiet about it. The runs, the doubles, her ability to draw walks. She just finds ways to make things happen. Has 13 steals on the season.
0-2 pitch misses for ball 1. Gorsuch came on in relief in game 1 yesterday. And one thing to keep an eye on, got called for an illegal pitch 6 times.
And Coach Torina talked a little bit about that before the game, said, you know, she'll be fine today. She worked on it a little bit.
Popped up. And shortstop Amber Surratt has it for out number 1.
A good start for Gorsuch, as you mentioned, settling in early, very important in this game. But she is the emotional leader in the circle, and someone Coach Torina has turned to quite a bit when she feels her team needs that lift.
Let's see how she handles Maddie Houlihan. Had herself a day yesterday. Hits the ball hard right into the glove of Amanda Doyle at first.
Well, Maddie Houlihan is seeing the ball so well, but watch the reactions. Just so quick with the hands, Doyle. I mean, if you blinked, that one was gone quickly, but that is just great reaction, no wasted movement, right in the glove.
Hope Brandner swinging at the first pitch. 19 home runs on the season for the sophomore transfer out of Oregon State. Hope went 0 for 2 yesterday, did walk a couple of times and come around to score.
Well, with Maribeth Gorsuch on the mound, you better not blink if you're watching this game. She works at a very quick tempo, gets the sign, gets in the circle, and she goes, and she is throwing with great velocity today.
Yeah, Gorsuch started both the first and the final game of the Baton Rouge Regional for LSU, and has been a key component in this pitching staff for the Tigers all season long. Another pop-up in the infield, and it is caught. So 1, 2, 3, down they go. LSU Tigers coming up.
NCAA Teamworks is how the NCAA, member schools, student athletes, and corporate champions and partners actively engage in outreach efforts for national championships are played. Initiatives such as NCAA Community 101 service learning projects, disaster relief efforts, youth clinics, backpack and school supply donations, and support of Special Olympics and the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the NCAA and its partners work together to leave a lasting legacy in the community. For more information on NCAA Teamworks, go to ncaa.com/team.
Minnesota has 3 pitchers in program history who have had 30 wins in a season. Amber Fizer, now one of them, the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year, picking up win number 30 yesterday in Game 1.
Just having one of the best seasons in the history of this program. 335 strikeouts on the year, good for 4th in the nation. Throws the ball with tremendous velocity, heats it up over 70 miles an hour consistently. Can throw to all 4 parts of the zone, also has an effective off speed, and that combination of speed and spin and the ability to stretch the zone equals a lot of strikeouts for Amber Fizer.
Your LSU starting lineup presented by Capital One. We'll see Aaliyah Andrews in the leadoff spot, followed by Amanda Sanchez, Shelby Sinceri, and Shamaya Sanchez in the top 4. Sinceri in the designated player spot in the lineup, as she is a hitting pitcher all season long. So no question that we would see her in that hitting lineup, whether or not she started the game in the circle as she did yesterday. And this is always an important battle when you take on LSU. Can you handle the leadoff? Aaliyah Andrews, the All-SEC second team selection this year, who has stolen more bases this season than anyone in program history.
And she is the engine that makes LSU go. When she gets on base, she can make things happen. It's almost like a double because she steals at will.
Yeah, yesterday Andrews did not have a hit, but she was hit. It was a little controversial. We weren't quite sure if it got the bat or if it got her, but the call on the field was it got her. So she took the base, stole a base, and wound up coming around to score a run. Slaps this one down. Arneson at short, making no mistake.
Well, you hear the roar of the crowd on every out so far. Yesterday, this Minnesota team talked about the first time they threw a strike in the game. It felt like they won the game, and this crowd is definitely behind them, and a good start for Minnesota. And shortstop Allie Arneson, as Minnesota committed 2 uncharacteristic errors yesterday.
Both teams with 2 errors in the game. And Sanchez hits it over to Brandner at first. 2 down.
Well, this is a good sign for Amber Fizer. She gets the majority of her outs via ground ball outs. Yesterday, ball was hit in the air quite a bit by LSU. It led to a home run, some extra base hits. good start for Pfizer, and you're wondering how she can do after she throws her career high in pitches. Well, she's thrown the ball over 70 miles an hour every pitch today so far.
Shelby Sinceri, the batter. Struggled against Pfizer yesterday, went 0 for 4, struck out a couple of times. Hits this one again into Arneson at short. And a quick inning for the Gophers. Their fabulous freshman, Natalie Den Hartog, coming up.
Don't kid with COVID. mHealth Fairview wants you to know that what you do today will affect your family and our community tomorrow. Did you know that unchecked, COVID-19 can have a multiplier effect? On average, someone who has the virus is likely to spread it to 2 more people. In no time, those 3 become 15. 15 could jump to over 60 and so on. Wash your hands, avoid big groups, stay home, don't go out. We've all got to do our part.
You had to get here early and you had to buy your tickets in a hurry. They went on sale. They were sold out in minutes for this Super Regional. The first time Minnesota's been able to host here at home, and the crowd not wanting to miss a minute of it. One of the players that they have loved to watch all season long is this freshman, Natalie Den Hartog, an all Big Ten unanimous first team selection. And boy, is she fun to watch swing the bat.
And never, ever gets cheated on her swings. She's very aggressive. She just has a hitting mindset. It's on all the time. It's go all the time.
She was retired in her first 2 at-bats yesterday. And then it was the 4th inning, which was really the key inning for Minnesota. When they took the lead, they were runners on, and you wondered if LSU was going to throw to her. They did. Resulted in an RBI single.
And she has a very unique style about her. You know, a lot of times with hitters, you want limited motion, just real quiet hands, quiet feet, so you can be on time. And if you watch Den Hartog, she has a huge leg kick from the front leg. Said she's been doing it for a while. It's all about getting her lower half involved.
Yeah, she told you that she's had some coaches throughout the years who have tried to get her to change it, but she's stuck with it. Hits this one high and to center field where Leah Andrews makes the catch.
We talked about Pfizer, and it's a good sign if she gets some ground ball outs. Well, it's the same thing with Gorsuch, who gets a lot of fly ball out. She likes to work up in the zone, a screwball, curveball combination, and rise. And if those pitches are working well, she gets some fly ball outs. We've had 1 line drive out. The rest have been fly ball out, so good start from Maribeth Gorsuch.
Caitlin Kemet-Mueller, the 3rd baseman, up to bat. Junior from Rogers, Minnesota. Actually came to this program as a walk-on. Came from a small town and grew up on a farm and worked her way into an important role on this team this season. Both pitchers have been efficient here early, haven't they?
Oh, that's a really good sign for Gorsuch, because she comes into this game with more walks than strikeouts on the season. So if she can command her pitches and stay ahead, she's going to stay in the circle a long time.
That definitely made some contact, but with the bat.
Yeah, a little check swing here from Kemet-Mueller. It's up and in, gets the knob of the bat. A foul ball.
Oh-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Strikeout number 1 for Gorsuch.
No, you don't describe too many pitchers as fiery, but look at this off-speed pitch and the fist pump from Gorsuch. I think Coach Tarina made the right choice there. She was debating between her 3 pitchers, needed that emotional lift from Gorsuch.
And that's exactly why she said she had Gorsuch start the first game of the regional. LSU won that game against Monmouth 2-0. And then she brought Gorsuch back in the regional final. They had to play Texas Tech 3 times in the regional, but twice in that final, and they were able to get the win.
And most important for Gorsuch, you look at these counts. These are not hitters' counts. These are pitchers' counts. And that was very important to Coach Tarina after the game yesterday. She thought, oh, our hitters battled, and you know, we had a lot of base runners, and we made things happen, but we did not get into good pitchers' counts. And that is something we have seen all day today so far from LSU.
Great start in the circle for Gorsuch, and the Tigers back-to-back strikeouts to end the inning. Tigers coming up the bat when we come back. They have created as many seats as possible here at James H. Cole Stadium in Minneapolis. Everybody wanting to get in on the action as Minnesota has a chance to make it to their first ever Women's College World Series. A lot more softball coming your way today. What a great day it is to watch some softball. The winner of this Super Regional will take on the winner between UCLA and James Madison. Following us here in ESPN2, we'll have Arizona Ole Miss and then Washington and Kentucky. Dogs and the Cats late night from Seattle. All the Super Regionals, best of 3 series, so we could potentially see it all end today. Or will we have some more game 3s taking us through tomorrow? LSU would certainly like to force that. Something that this team has been quite adept at doing.
I'm really looking forward to the Washington-Kentucky matchup. Kentucky, one of the best offenses in the SEC, but they've got to face a very tough Washington pitching staff.
Washington getting the win in game 1. So they'll have game 2 out in Seattle later tonight.
Now, how about Amber Pfizer? Now, yesterday she had no innings that went 1, 2, 3. 3 up, 3 down. 0 innings, and that's very uncommon for her in an outing. Pushed to the brink, 147 pitches, a career high. In the first inning today, 6 pitches. 3 up, 3 down.
She'll take that, but Shamaya Sanchez is going to make this inning look a little different for LSU. Really got a piece of that one. Tigers' first hit.
I feel like she had some great battles yesterday with Pfizer. Keeps her hands inside this rise ball, keeps them nice and high and strong. And her strength, she's got such a powerful swing. A lot of extra base hits on the season. This time it's just a single, but when she hits the ball, it sounds a little bit different just because of the power in her swing.
That is her 3rd hit of this Super Regional. Amanda Doyle now the batter for LSU. Hits it deep to center. It is caught for the first down.
Remember, this is an LSU team that comes into this game 9th in the country in terms of on-base percentage. So they know how to get on base. They know how to push the envelope. We saw it all day yesterday. Just couldn't find that timely hit.
Yeah, LSU actually out-hitting Minnesota 8-7 in game 1. But they certainly left something to be desired with the numbers left on base and just not taking advantage of those opportunities with runners on, and in particular with runners in scoring position. Throw over to first. Not in time to get Sanchez. 1-1 the count to Savannah Stewart. Freshman outfielder for the Tigers. It's just a third. It took a hop that got around Kemet Mueller off her glove, and so Stewart is aboard.
And defense always starts with your feet. Kemet Mueller does not move to get this ball, just moves laterally. And the ball did not have a lot of pace on it, so would have loved to have seen her attack that ball. Instead, the ball hops up on her. Minnesota comes into this game 8th in the country in team defensive fielding percentage. This is their 3rd error in the Super Regional.
Yeah, they only had 2 errors in their 3 regional games. They had that many through the first couple innings yesterday. Amber Surratt hits it to second, and Partain will get the out, but the runners advance.
Well, Minnesota is on the brink here of something that's very odd for them. They have only given up 3 runs the entire season in the 2nd inning. Just 3 runs. But right now, LSU is on the verge of adding to that total.
This was part of the story yesterday, though, as we just showed you those numbers for LSU. They had opportunities, especially early, that they could not cash in on. And as is wont to happen, those can come back to haunt you. And taking a close look here, making sure we do have a change. Michaela Schlotman will be the batter. And Carol, this was a position in the order that you were keeping an eye on coming into this one.
It's something LSU's been doing most of the season. In the first at-bat today, Cummins gets the start. Schlotman, more of a power hitter, and in this situation, Coach Torina would love to get on the board early with one swing, so elects to go, even though it's the first at-bat for Cummins, to Schlotman.
Wouldn't be surprised to see these fans, there they go, getting on their feet. They were there early and often in game 1. Trying to will their ace, Amber Fizer, to another strike here. And she got it! Strikeout ends the inning and ends the threat from the LSU Tigers. Now we'll get you to the studio with Molly.
Out at home probably like the rest of you.
But I've learned a lot about wood floors.
Tonight we got batting cage challenge.
As you can see, the Monopoly board is set up with a lot of hotels.
I'm gonna make the pancakes. Grace is gonna make the eggs.
You two are going to love the cupcakes.
Just gonna check on the homeschool crew and make sure everything's going okay here.
Stay strong, parents. We're gonna get this done.
All we can control is right now and trying to maximize our days the best we can.
I'm just so grateful for family, for friends, for loved ones, and the Big Ten.
Be a coach. Be a teammate. Be a friend.
Be a teacher.
Be a family.
We are a team.
We are a team.
We are a family.
We got this.
We got this.
We can do this.
We can do this.
Welcome back to the NCAA Softball Super Regionals, presented by Capital One. No score in Game 2 here from Minneapolis. Minnesota winners in Game 1. LSU Tigers, whose motto all year has been fight all the way, trying to do just that and force a Game 3. It'll be freshman catcher Emma Burns in the 7th spot in the lineup to lead things off.
Well, you can't say enough about the job Gorsuch has done when her team needs it the most. There is no tomorrow for LSU. Their backs are against the wall. It's win or go home. And Coach Tarina is trusting Gorsuch. And so far, she has been very successful in getting ahead of every batter. Remember, Gorsuch played behind two very talented pitchers.
Out number 1 retired. And this week, the Sunday Night Baseball crew is in St. Louis for the series finale between the Braves and the Cardinals at Busch Stadium. Our coverage begins at 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app with Baseball Tonight Sunday Night Countdown. Braves winners in Game 1 on Friday. But yeah, you talk about those two pitchers that LSU lost. I mean, Allie Wall-Jasper, Carly Hoover, both All-Americans, such a huge part of this program.
And they're pitchers that are tough to replace, and Gorsuch has had a very good career. There you see Allie Wald-Jasper, student assistant with the team, and Gorsuch just patiently waited, you know, did her part, and now this is kind of her time to shine. And she is off to a great start.
And Beth Tarina, yeah, sorry, Carol. Beth Tarina had said, you know, she's had kind of an up and down year, but she never wavered in her leadership. And that can be really hard to do if you're not consistently performing the way that you want, to still be there emotionally and in that leadership role. But that's something she was very good at this year for this team.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It's easy when things are going your way. When you're winning, when you're playing a lot, when you're having a lot of success, you know, it's easy to lead in those moments. But, you know, you need those leaders when you hit adversity. And again, an adverse situation here for LSU, down to an elimination game, then they turn to their best leader.
Strikeout number 3 for Gorsuch. Out number 2 in the inning.
Gorsuch is commanding the zone with all of her pitches. This is an elevated, it's a rise ball up in the zone. And most importantly for her, she is attacking early in the count. She is throwing a lot of strikes. She is staying ahead of all of the Minnesota hitters, staying in control.
Carly Brandt pops it up. Won't be catchable. And that's some of what you're talking about, Carol. First pitch strikes, 7 of them so far for Gorsuch.
And that was very important to Coach Tarina coming into this game, the adjustment from Game 1. And it's one thing to talk about it as a coach and come up with that plan, like, man, we could go back and do it. This is what I would change. But Gorsuch has been able to execute that plan, and she's doing it with a variety of pitches. She has all of her pitches working today.
This ball right back to Gorsuch. That'll do it for the inning. Still no score here in Minneapolis. No score as we move to the bottom of the 3rd. What a year it has been for Minnesota. Jamie Traxel in her 2nd year as the head coach. And one of the most special moments that she talked about from this season was when this team found out they would be a 7 seed. Highest in program history. Look at this reaction. I mean, that was truly a surprise. I mean, taking nothing for granted if you're Minnesota. A couple years ago, they thought they'd get a seed and didn't when they were ranked in the top 3 in the country. And this year, probably feeling pretty good about themselves that they would get a national seed, but to get the chance to be where they are right now on their home field in a Super Regional, something they maybe didn't quite expect, but were certainly happy to receive. Elise Thornhill, the lead off the inning for LSU. Thornhill had a good day against Amber Pfizer at the bottom of the lineup yesterday. She went 2 for 3, the double, scored a run. This is a player who tends to split time out there in right field. Certainly earned herself to start again here today.
I was just so impressed with LSU throughout the day yesterday. Didn't get the result they wanted and the win, but the way they battled in every at-bat, Thornhill was one of those hitters. Made Pfizer work deep into the pitch count. As we mentioned, through 147 pitches, that was a career high. Gave up 8 hits to LSU, also tied a career high. And you know, again, we don't keep records for foul balls, but there were a lot of foul balls hit by LSU, just battling and fighting and scratching and clawing. And you know, they absolutely got runners on base, just could not come up with that timely hit to make a difference.
Strike 2 called. Game face on for Amber Pfizer there in the circle. Pfizer asked yesterday in the press conference, you know, how she handles it. Those numbers you just mentioned, Carol, that's a lot of work for this young lady who has pitched every inning of the NCAA postseason for this Minnesota team. And she was asked, how do you come back after a game where you threw that many pitches? She said, well, you might not feel that great, but you do it. Body might be a little sore, but you could tell the way she said it, no problem. She was going to be here if her number was called, and indeed it was.
Well, and there's no team in the country still playing right now that feels great. You know, you've been playing games since early February, and everybody's beat up, everybody's a little tired. It's who can grit it out, who can be tough when it matters most.
That was the first 3-ball count, and it results in the walk. So that puts speed on first in the form of Thornhill, and even more speed up at the plate with the top of the order and Aaliyah Andrews. And check that. Looks like we'll have a pinch runner at first. And Thornhill's pretty quick out there herself, but Bethrine is going to go with Taryn Antoine, sophomore who's been very good in pinch running situations and had some big moments in the regional too for this LSU team.
And one of the few base runners on the LSU team that's not named Aaliyah Andrews that has a few stolen bases on the year. Has 4 steals on the season.
Andrews is going to try to bunt.
And it's a foul ball. Ball popped up and hit her, but she is in the box. You can see it hits her foot, but she is in the box. That is indeed a foul ball and a strike called on Andrews.
Matt Johnson, our home plate umpire today. He's joined by Brett Higgins, Tanya Gehrig, and Mike Bartling, our 4-person umpire crew, as we've had for all the games in the NCAA postseason this year. The Women's College World Series returns to Oklahoma City. The action begins Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern, live on ESPN. For more information on the Women's College World Series, go to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships.
Well, this is one of the toughest situations Minnesota will have to defend in this Super Regional. You've got speed at first base, nobody out, and you've got one of the fastest players in the country up to bat. Look how short Minnesota's making the field. But more importantly, they do not have time because of the speed on the field to hesitate or make decisions that are taking a long time. It's got to be a quick decision where to go with the ball.
Yeah, there was a moment in the game yesterday when Andrews had what turned out to be a sacrifice bunt, but it was a close play at first. Good contingent of LSU fans making their voices heard here in Minneapolis.
Now, Coach Tarina being aggressive there with a bunt and run call. Now with 2 strikes, probably go more to the slap game. But really what LSU's trying to do here is create some moving parts. If you've got a runner in motion, it forces the middle infielders to not only focus on the ball, but also the base runner.
Andrews puts it on the infield. Boy, she does speed down that line, but the defense did not flinch.
Oh, Andrews, look at how quickly Arneson gets rid of the ball, and it's still a close play at first base. That's just elite speed. If you can get down the line in 13 steps or less, you're going to have a shot every time. And Andrews does that, but it's a productive out. She moved Antoine into scoring position.
And Amanda Sanchez can really crack it up there, hitting .439 on the season with runners in scoring position. Ground out in her first at bat.
And one of the things so impressive about Pfizer, when you talk to Coach Traxel, is her bullpen sessions are exactly like her game days. Very intense, no shortcuts. Pays off for her during the games. When you hear the crack of that glove consistently, that is Amber Pfizer, who consistently throws the ball over 70 miles an hour. There's not a lot of pitchers in our game right now that can do that. And remember, this is back-to-back days for Amber Pfizer, and she's doing that.
1-2 to Sanchez. She did indeed take the swing. So it's a strikeout for Pfizer.
And when you have a pitcher who is a strikeout pitcher, it's the great equalizer. Sanchez trying to hold up. It's an excuse me swing. The barrel does cross the front of the plate. And Emma Burns doing a nice job of keeping that ball in front for the strikeout.
Shelby Sinceri now the batter. And another strike. Sinceri still looking to make her mark offensively in this Super Regional. 17 home runs on the year. Led this LSU team in RBI and slugging percentage.
Well, LSU has found themselves in this situation. Yesterday, just 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position. They keep getting opportunities. And so far, having a tough time cashing in on that timely hit, the 2-out RBI, that golden ticket in the postseason. They've had a tough time. It's been within their reach.
Well, they know, too, that they're going against a Minnesota team that has been very good defensively all season long. They have a freshman behind the plate, and Emma Burns, who was tough, throwing runners out during the regular season. Caught more than half of her would-be base stealers. Well, LSU did swipe a couple in game 1 yesterday. Crowd wanting another strike. Instead, the count moves to 3-1. Sinceri, sophomore, Santa Fe, Texas. Big swing, did get a piece of it. Full count. You think this crowd wants this out, wants this win today for their team? You're going to have to wait a little longer. Ball in the dirt will walk Sinceri. Couple of walks in this inning now. Counted for both base runners for the Tigers.
Yeah, and she had a few pitches that at bat did Amber Fizer that were very close, trying to stretch the zone, both horizontally and vertically, trying to really catch those corners. You have to do that against a good hitting team like LSU.
Shemaya Sanchez singled in her first at bat, had the first hit of the game against Fizer in the last inning. When you think about the power that is right here in this heart of the lineup for LSU, a team that set the school record with home runs this season, 74 of them, including their one yesterday. And Shemaya Sanchez, a big part of that. Both she and Sinceri with 17 home runs, one shy of the LSU single season record. Keeping everybody on their toes in the dugout. Sinceri on first. And runner on second as well. Antoine. Here's the pitch. And the strikeout will end the inning once again. LSU can't get a break.
Do you know what the U of M does for you? From farms to breweries and orchards to markets, discover how the University of Minnesota is cultivating a new crop of Minnesota businesses.
Do you know what the U of M does for you? From hooves to hands and paws to possibilities, discover how the University of Minnesota is making medical advances for all Minnesotans.
Welcome back to the NCAA Softball Super Regionals presented by Capital One. Great crowd on hand here again in Minneapolis. No score as we head to the top of the fourth, and are joined by Minnesota head coach Jamie Traxel. Coach, any hesitation at all from you when it came to putting Fizer back in the circle after how hard she had to work yesterday?
We had a lengthy conversation as a coaching staff and explored all the options, and Sid's ready to go. I mean, she's been ready for a long time, so we have a lot of confidence and belief in both of them, and we're starting with Fizer and see how this game goes and see what their game plan was against her, and but Sid's ready to go when we need her.
Well, Coach, LSU comes into this Super Regional. They kind of pitch by committee. Were you surprised with who their starter was, and what do you need to do to get some offense going against Gorsuch here today?
To be honest, it's actually we thought they would start just because she spins the ball. You got to let it come out. You got to be able to see the spin and the wind's blowing a little bit behind her, so that probably helps. So we just got to make sure we stay balanced, let the ball come out, and really make sure we're still controlling our strike zone and then attacking pitches, and maybe stand a little bit taller in the box, make some adjustments to try to get on top of that a little bit more, so we're challenging their defense.
Sounds good, Coach. Thanks so much.
Thanks, you guys.
Get a chance to see the top of the Minnesota order go to work here in the fourth. Gorsuch has been tough.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that for Gorsuch. I mean, we've yet to see a base runner, and she has been working at a very fast tempo, and most importantly, staying ahead of the hitters, working from pitchers' counts.
Kenna Partain popped up to the shortstop to start the game. By the way, you heard Jamie Traxel talking about Sid. That is her senior righty, Sydney Smith, available to come in and pitch as well. Former LSU Tiger, by the way.
Gorsuch is keeping Minnesota guessing. She has all of her pitches working right now, including her off-speed pitch.
0-2 to Partain. Well, it is hard to keep Partain off the bases, but Gorsuch does just that. Now let's get you to the studio and Molly McGrath. So we now know 3 teams through to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma, Oklahoma State with the upset in Tallahassee, and Alabama. Where'd they come from? A couple Alabama fans hanging out for their moment in the spotlight right there. Good timing. Natty Houlihan, that's a good way to get things going for the Gophers, just like she did yesterday. Had a home run followed by a double, picking up where she left off.
And her first at bat today absolutely roped the ball as well. Wasn't rewarded as Doyle made a great play, but Natty Houlihan has been the spark plug for Minnesota in this Super Regional.
Hope Brandner now the batter. A terrific addition she's been to this Minnesota team this season. You think about some of the adversity that this program has gone through, and probably the biggest story of this season, losing 2-time Big Ten Player of the Year Kendall Lindemann, who decided to transfer to Florida in the fall. She was behind the plate, a big force there, and in the middle of the lineup. And Brandner's certainly helped to fill that void with her bat.
It's the first time Gorsuch has had a 3-ball count tonight. In Minnesota, you may think, why not put Houlihan in motion? She does have 7 steals on the season. She can run. How about Minnesota does not have a steal or a steal attempt in the NCAA Regionals or Super Regional round? They've been doing it with extra base hits and home runs.
3-1 pitch is fouled. A long way out, but foul. Does that surprise you? I know you've seen this team quite a bit. Does it surprise you that they don't try to run more?
Well, they do have that power. You just saw it from Hope Brandner, Den Hartog. They want to run themselves out. Instead of a 1-run home run, a solo shot, they've been able to get multi-run home runs.
Brandner on the infield, a diving play, but the ball not tossed in time. What an effort by Shamaya Sanchez, but she will not get rewarded with the out.
Well, this is something Hope Brandner has worked very hard not to be an all-or-nothing hitter. She gets the single. It's a great effort by Sanchez, but Houlihan is hustling all the way, beats it out, and Minnesota has their first 2 base runners now of the game with back-to-back hits.
What was lacking for LSU yesterday, being able to get that timely hit, string a few of them together, and make something happen. Best opportunity so far now for Minnesota, who had to fight back a couple times yesterday against LSU when they were able to take the lead. There is some action in the bullpen. Allie Den Hartog will be quickly retired. Out number 2.
Well, that is a huge out for LSU as Den Hartog comes into this game with 63 RBIs. That's the top 20 in the country, and they've had a lot of success really jamming up Den Hartog, working that inside part of the plate.
So can Kemet Mueller now be the player to come through? Kemet Mueller, an all Big Ten selection, but on the defensive team this year. Did not have a hit in the regional and did not have a hit yesterday either. Did walk a couple of times.
And that's been the biggest difference in this inning for Gorsuch. She has fallen into some hitters counts. We've seen her in pitchers counts, 0-1, 0-2, up until this inning. Finds herself 2-0.
Pops it up and out of play. Kemet Mueller in her junior year, best batting average of her career, has continued to raise it every year. 7 career home runs, all of those coming in her junior season.
Well, and you fully expect a team like LSU to who's come into this game. They've been pitching by committee all season long. Gorsuch just has 10 complete games on the season. And so she can work herself out of this inning. It'd be a huge plus for LSU.
2-2 pitch. Hit high. And it'll be Sanchez to make the out. So a couple of base runners for the Gophers, but nothing doing on the scoreboard. No score as the LSU Tigers are trying to stave off elimination, something they have been very good at under head coach Beth Torina. She joins us now. Coach, I know you don't love to be in this situation all the time, but your team finds success when you get there. What can you say about how you guys handle these type of situations?
Yeah, it's just what we do. I don't know that it's great for my heart or my health, but it's what we do. And I think, our team's just not afraid of these situations. They know that softball's a game. It's something they do. It's not who they are, and they play it that way.
Well, Coach, you have a lot of options to go with as a starting pitcher. You've got a deep pitching staff. What went into your decision to go with Gorsuch today?
Well, so far I've picked the right one. She's done a great job. I'm proud of her. She steps up for us in these big moments. She's our most veteran pitcher. She's our junior. So our team plays well behind her, too. She plays with so much passion and energy. She really brings that to our team.
Yeah, we've seen that. Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.
I think about Gorsuch started this season 10-0, tied for the best start in LSU history, and both she and Pfizer been tough to hit today.
And the thing that sticks out the most is no walks for Gorsuch and the 4 strikeouts, through the entire season. It has been the reverse for her in those categories.
Amanda Doyle leading off the inning for the Tigers. 5, 6, 7 hitters on the way for LSU. I wanted to ask Coach Torina about how this team plays, because if you watch them, they do stay loose. They did it all day yesterday, and they are so good. I mean, arguably the best team in the Super Regional era on the road, because they've been there, done that, and won it 3 times. That ties for the most of any program that they've won a Super Regional on the road to advance. And LSU did it in back-to-back years, in 2016 and 2017 at James Madison and then at Florida State, respectively. And oh, by the way, they lost the first game in both of those Super Regionals.
Yeah, and in talking to Coach Torina, we asked about that, talking to her earlier this week, and I think she does such a good job of taking the pressure off the team. As she just mentioned, it's what they do, it's not who they are, and she said the last thing we're going to talk about is we are 2 wins away from the World Series.
Doyle hit it right to Houlihan in right. Now, it's easy to say that that's going to be the mentality you're going to have. It's maybe a little harder to execute, especially because as you inch closer to seniors thinking, is this it? Or just any of your players thinking, this could be the last at bat. This could be the last chance I have in the field. And your brain can take you out of it.
I think Coach Tarina does such a good job of keeping it process-oriented and not outcome-oriented. You know, she was not concerned about, hey, we're 2 wins away from the World Series. It was, well, how are we going to throw strike one? You know, more focused on the process. It's worked for her throughout her career at LSU.
This is her 8th season, and she has taken this LSU program to 4 Women's College World Series appearances, 3 straight between 2015 and 2017. Picked up her 100th SEC win earlier this season against her alma mater, Florida. I mean, to think about going to Oklahoma City for the 4th time in 5 years, that's the opportunity in front of this LSU team. That is impressive. 2-1 to Stewart. Hit to left for out number 2. Well, if you're a softball fan, you should know about this by now, but just in case you don't, the 7 Innings podcast with all of our great ESPN personalities who have covered the sport all season long. This week, they broke down every Super Regional, including this one. We'll talk a little Minnesota madness as the Golden Gophers hosting here at Jane Sage Cole Stadium for the first time in program history. You can find that on the ESPN app, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Lots of good stuff there. Amber Surratt, the batter, went 1 for 4 in game 1, but that one was a big one. Hit a home run in the 4th inning. That initially put LSU back out in front. They took the lead in the 3rd. Minnesota tied it up in the bottom of the inning, and then they took the lead back in the 4th, and Minnesota took it back in the bottom of that inning. This one on the ground to 3rd. Emmett Mueller makes the out, and that will do it for the inning. Both teams looking to break through. If you want a postseason type experience early in the season, this is it. And the St. Pete Clearwater Elite Invitational coming back in 2020. A great group of teams. James Madison and Washington, the 2 most recently announced. And Minnesota played in that tournament this year. That was part of, Carol, the toughest non-conference schedule in the country. Certainly part of the reason that this team felt tested coming into Big Ten play, and perhaps that they were able to get the highest seed in school history at number 7.
Well, there's no question that had a lot to do with it. When you go on the road, let's talk about the fact that Minnesota goes on the road so much. And not only did they win early in the season playing that tough strength of schedule, but they did it on the road. And now they come back home. The Big Ten season, the Big Ten arguably had one of the best seasons they've had in a long time. 6 teams made it to NCAA Regionals, 3 host sites.
Minnesota, one of 2 teams in Super Regionals, along with Northwestern, who was just eliminated earlier today by Oklahoma. And look at the difference. Look how many times LSU played at home versus Minnesota, and that includes the postseason. This one is hit deep. Is it deep enough? Oh, yes it is!
Well, in a lineup known for their power, Allie Arneson, not typically one, just her 3rd home run this season, but she is on time, takes a very balanced swing, and Minnesota is on the board. Using the long ball, it has been how they have scored all season long. Arneson's fired up, and Minnesota can feel it. They're getting closer.
Just the 3rd home run all year from Arneson. And Carol coming from the bottom of the lineup. I mean, she hits a little closer to the middle in the 6th spot, but 7, 8, 9 coming up now, and this was a productive part of the lineup yesterday for Minnesota.
Oh, it sure was, and you know, that was not a bad pitch by Gorsuch. It was up in the zone, and this bottom part of the order, a lot of times you get to the postseason and you expect the top part of your lineup to produce, but it's that bottom part of the lineup. Can they come through when it matters? Arneson had 2 RBIs yesterday with the single.
She was a part of that 4-run, 2-out rally in the 4th inning that put Minnesota ahead for good. Little help from the first base umpire, Brett Higgins, to say it was not a swing on Burns.
Now, the first time through the lineup against Gorsuch, no base runners for Minnesota. And now through the first 6 hitters, 3 hits. Second time through the lineup. Good adjustments by Minnesota.
Burns hits it high. Andrews had to reset herself a little bit, but makes the catch. 1 down. Allie Lindner, another freshman in this lineup for Minnesota. Back-to-back freshmen hitting there with Burns and Lindner. Had a hit yesterday, went 1 for 3. Struck out in her first at-bat tonight. Contact on that swing for Lindner. Hails from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And I love this, Carol. She said she enjoys hammocking in her off time. I didn't know that was a thing, but it sounds nice. A lot of strength, though, for Lindner. High school record holder in both the shot put and the discus. Being patient. Gets a full count now.
Working some deeper counts as Minnesota off Gorsuch. That was a very close pitch, close to the zone. But they're making Gorsuch work this inning.
Got the strikeout, though, as Gorsuch just kept at it, and on the full count, got the out.
I'm just so impressed with Gorsuch, what she's brought to the LSU team this year, especially today in the circle. Gave up the home run, but what does she do? Come right back with 2 quick outs. She knows she has a potent offense behind her. They also can hit the long ball, trying to keep the score close.
Carly Brand, junior in the 9-hole from Le Sueur, Minnesota. Former Gatorade Player of the Year at the high school level in this state. And it is an exciting time right now in Minnesota. A lot of eyes in this state looking right here in Minneapolis at what this softball team is doing. Hit to Sanchez at third, and that'll do it. But Allie Arneson with the shot to put her team out in front. Minnesota taking the lead over the Tigers. That is the question, Molly. They have certainly proven they can do it as we look at some of the other storylines so far. Oklahoma State, Alabama both in. Crimson Tide returning to Oklahoma City for the first time since 2016. Oklahoma hitting the long ball 5 times today. New school record. And Arizona Ole Miss coming up next on ESPN2 once we're finished. Michaela Schlottman came in and hit for Morgan Cummins in the second inning and has stayed in the game behind the plate.
LSU has a unique situation there, has 2 quality catchers. Maybe one little gets the nod for defense, one the nod for offense, so depending on the game situation, they can switch in that catching position. It's worked very well for them.
Schlottman, a senior. On the ground, dribbles over to second, where Partain scoops it up. And now really one of the most productive spots in the lineup. At least Thornhill had done very well there. Taryn Antoine came in to pinch run for Thornhill, stayed in the game out in right field. And she had some huge moments with the bat in the Baton Rouge Regional. Had a sacrifice fly in the 13th inning of that marathon game that LSU played against Texas Tech that drove in the game-winning run. Also had a hit and a pinch hit at bat earlier in the regional. Hits this one into the grass, out in right, and Antoine is aboard.
And you're absolutely right. The 9 spot, whether it's been Thornhill or Antoine, has been so productive, find their ways on base, and now we find ourselves in that same situation we were in Andrews' last at-bat, a very difficult situation for the Minnesota defense. Speed at first base, one of the fastest base runners in the country at the plate. And the reason it becomes a challenge for Minnesota is not only do they have to make a lot of decisions, especially if Antoine gets put in motion, but they need to be very quick decisions. Any chance of a bobble, any sort of chaos created by Andrews, this inning will extend.
So far, so good for the Minnesota defense and the pitching of Pfizer and containing Andrews. 0 for 2 today. And was 0 for 2 yesterday as well. Just reached on a hit by pitch. She's going to make him work right off the bat. Pfizer up to the task.
I love what Andrews is trying to go down the first baseline, but it goes up the middle to Pfizer, who quickly gets rid of the ball, showing you not only can she pitch in the circle, this is a very close play, but look how quickly she gets the ball off the ground, into her hand, and out of her hand. If Andrews can get that ball a little more down the first baseline, Hope Brander staying back, Andrews can be safe.
Amanda Sanchez now. Antoine going to force the defense to keep an eye on her over at second. Seventh sacrifice bunt for Andrews on the season, which leads the team. But now 2 outs for Sanchez. Tigers have struggled with runners in scoring position. The opportunities have been there. 1 for 16 in this Super Regional.
And this is the hitter LSU wants in this situation, hitting Sanchez hitting .439 coming into this game with runners in scoring position. Second on the team and 2 out RBIs with 14. She has been clutch all season long for LSU.
This time it just required her to stay patient, so Sanchez takes the walk. 2 on now for the Tigers. Shelby Sinceri coming to the plate, walked in her last at bat. Minnesota in the lead and trying to hang on for a little bit of history. Their first ever Women's College World Series appearance on the line for LSU. They need to win tonight to force a winner-take-all Game 3 tomorrow, something that the Tigers were able to do in both 2016 and 2017 on the road in Super Regionals. They lost last year, LSU, in the Super Regionals at Florida State, but pushed that one to Game 3 as well. Every moment magnified when your season's on the line.
And you saw a little longer conversation from pitching coach Piper Ritter with Amber Pfizer, and that's something that's very different this year as well. Pfizer having a lot more input into the discussions on how they want to work hitters.
Ball in the dirt, and it gets away from Burns, so both runners will advance. Taryn Antoine 60 feet away from tying the game.
And typically in this situation, you've got an open base, arguably one of the best hitters for LSU. You might pitch around Sinceri, but so far, Sinceri has struggled in this Super Regional.
She pops this one up. Burns has it! And once again, LSU leaves them stranded in Minneapolis.
Don't kid with COVID. M Health Fairview wants you to know that what you do today will affect your family and our community tomorrow. Did you know that unchecked, COVID-19 can have a multiplier effect? On average, someone who has the virus is likely to spread it to 2 more people. In no time, those 3 become 15. 15 could jump to over 60 and so on. Wash your hands, avoid big groups, stay home, don't go out. We've all got to do our part.
The home run from Allie Lindner, the difference, or from Arneson, excuse me, the difference in this game. 1-0 our score. LSU 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position, and Pfizer, Carroll still going to work in the circle. Now it's back to the Minnesota offense in the top of the order in Partain. Has not been able to reach base yet, and it is tough to keep this young lady from doing just that. Hits it over to first, and the foot race to the bag is won by Amanda Doyle for out number 1.
I think it just shows you the depth of this Minnesota team. They've had different people step up all season long for them. Everybody knows about the power at the top of their lineup. But you can keep Partain off the bases and still have this much success. That's a good sign for Minnesota.
Maddie Houlihan at the plate. A good way to make you forget about a frustrating regional. She went 0 for 8 there, is to just crush it at the Super Regional. She's 3 for 5. Had a single in her last at bat, and then the home run and the double off the wall in Game 1 yesterday.
And you know you're seeing it well when you're hitting the ball to all parts of the park, hitting it where it's pitched.
Check swing, puts the ball in the glove of Sanchez. And over to first for out number 2.
Well, this game has been a little bit of a pitching duel outside of the home run by Arneson. Gorsuch still battling, doing a nice job in the circle.
Brandner also singled back in the 4th. Shane Houlihan had those back-to-back hits. And it looked like it might be a promising inning. It wasn't. They had to wait one more for that, and Arneson's home run to change the scoreboard. Now looking to add to this lead a little bit, make themselves a little more comfortable if possible. As LSU, 2 innings left to try to force a game 3. 3-0 the count. And Brandner was ready to take that walk, not quite yet.
I'm so impressed with Brandner. She's a free swinger, self-admitted. You know, loves to swing at a lot of first pitches. She has worked so hard between her freshman and sophomore year to become more of a patient hitter.
She does hit this one and hits it well. It'll dribble off of the wall. Brandner's looking for 2. Look for a moment like Shemaya Sanchez. Didn't even know she was coming, but Brandner never let up.
Oh, she's worked herself because of her patient at-bats into some hitters' counts and gets a pitch a little too much over the plate from Gorsuch and absolutely rockets the ball. Has to hustle to get to second base. It becomes a close play. But that's something Brandner's been doing all season long for Minnesota. The extra base hits, the doubles, the home runs. A very important piece in this batting order for Minnesota.
Macy Gill in at second as a pinch runner. Be sure to check out SportsCenter tonight after Top Rank Boxing. They'll have highlights and reactions from Bucks Raptors Game 6, plus a breakdown of the Warriors' quest for another title, and recap Red Sox Astros at SportsCenter after boxing on ESPN and the ESPN app. So Beth Torina out to have a conversation with Meredith Gorsuch. You have Natalie Den Hartog coming to the plate. A player who Coach Jamie Traxel says has natural power that you cannot teach. How will Torina and the Tigers handle Natalie Den Hartog?
And they have elected to pitch to her in these situations the entire Super Regional. Just 1 RBI in the Super Regional for Den Hartog. And they've had a lot of success working on the inside part of the plate. Love to see Den Hartog back off the plate a little bit and able to keep her hands inside those inside pitches.
Den Hartog, a big swing. This is a tough freshman, a very physical player who, as you see, Sinceri warming up for LSU. Den Hartog, a player who played football. And I'm not talking about, no offense, certainly nothing against those girls who like to go and be kickers. No. Linebacker, running back, her dad coach. There's no question. Of course I was going to play. Said she wished she could play now. She had plans to go to the NFL.
When we ask her teammates about that, does that surprise you at all? I mean, they couldn't shake their head back and forth enough. Absolutely not. That she is relentless. She's tough.
I think it was Maddie Houlihan who said, because Natalie said, I wish I could still play football now. And Maddie said, I wish you could go tackle somebody right now. You need to sometimes. See if she can get that aggression out with the bat.
Well, and let's talk about the fact that Den Hartog did not start at the beginning of the season. Had to work herself into the starting lineup. It happened very, very quickly into the second week of the season, but She has been on a tear ever since. Top 3 finalists, NFCA National Freshman of the Year. 12th in the country in RBIs on the season.
Yeah, it didn't take long to get her into that starting lineup. 1-2 pitch in the dirt. Throw to first in time. So LSU refuses to let Minnesota add any more. The Tigers trail by 1. Bottom of the 6th coming up. Welcome back to the NCAA Softball Super Regionals presented by Capital One. Just 1 run in our game so far. It came via home run for the Golden Gophers by Allie Arneson in the 5th inning, and Amber Pfizer once again working in the circle, but maybe not being pushed quite as hard tonight as she was yesterday, Carol, in game 1.
Just a much more efficient outing, staying ahead of the hitters, LSU, and boy, she is tough when she needs to be, not allowing LSU when they do get base runners to score. How about 30 wins in a season? She's in rare air around here in Minnesota, just the 3rd pitcher to accomplish that feat.
Shemaya Sanchez will try to find something good to start this inning for LSU. Singled in her first at bat in the 2nd. But Amber Pfizer, yesterday, after the win in game 1, the first ever Super Regional win for Minnesota, said we are 1 step closer to our dream. And that dream is to take this program to its first Women's College World Series. They are 6 outs away from doing just that.
And this is a Minnesota team that has been consistent all season long. From out of the gate in February to here deep into the postseason.
Shemaya Sanchez, the 4-hitter. And this is the heart of this LSU lineup that Pfizer has to work through here in the bottom of the 6th. 17 home runs on the season for Shemaya. 1 shy of the single season record in a record-setting season for the long ball in Baton Rouge. As a team, the Tigers have hit it out of the park 74 times this year. 1 more of those would tie this game up.
And when you're down 1 run, that seems very manageable when you have that type of record. This team hits the long ball well.
That ball bounced off of Sanchez. There is that number. It's an impressive one for LSU. A team that knew it would probably have to pick things up with the bat a little bit more after losing those 2 All-American pitchers in Allie Waljasper and Carly Hoover. And they have absolutely done that.
I think she did the rare feat of hitting both legs with 1 swing.
Sanchez underneath that ball, pops it high for Arneson. And out number 1. Let's get you to the studio for an update with Molly. Couple of SEC teams on the line. That, of course, an all-SEC Super Regional down in Gainesville. Tennessee trying to force game 3. LSU trying to do the same here in Minnesota. But 71 miles per hour still coming in from Pfizer.
Can't say enough about Amber Pfizer. She has pitched every pitch of the NCAA tournament this season for Minnesota. Still throwing the ball with great velocity. Still working on both sides of the plate. What makes her so difficult to hit. She can stretch the zone to all 4 quadrants. Can also throw her off-speed pitch. And mentally very tough late in the season here for Minnesota.
Doyle reached for it, couldn't get it.
And you want to know why Amber Pfizer's so tough. We've seen her throw all weekend in the 70s, and she also can throw an effective off-speed pitch that absolutely fools Doyle. Pfizer is clicking on all cylinders.
Now the bat in the hands of freshman Savannah Stewart. Gets it out into the grass. And she's aboard for the Tigers, representing the tying run. And coming up right behind Savannah Stewart is Amber Surratt, who went yard yesterday and did it in impressive fashion, Carol.
I mean, the minute this ball was hit, it went over the scoreboard here in Minneapolis. And gave LSU the lead at the time, and boy, wouldn't they love to see some of that power from Surratt right now.
8 home runs on the season for the senior shortstop. LSU came into this game saying, we need to create a break for ourselves. They weren't looking for somebody else to give it to them. They knew they had to earn it. They had to get a timely hit. Tigers 0 for 8 with runners on base tonight. Surratt to Kemet Mueller, and she is retired. The Tigers only have 3 outs remaining. Minnesota hoping to get there. The crowd in maroon and gold came to Jane Sage Cole Stadium tonight with the hope of seeing something special. Minnesota, 1 inning left to play. The Golden Gophers looking to make their first ever trip to the Women's College World Series. LSU time and again has spoiled the party on an opponent's home field. But a good start to the 7th inning offensively as Kemet Mueller took the first pitch and got a hit.
And it's been Minnesota that's been able to make things happen, especially with the bottom part of their order, as Kemet Mueller starts off the 7th inning with a hit.
That's her first hit of the postseason. No time like the present, and one of the heroes of this game, Allie Arneson, up at the plate now, homered in her last at bat. Minnesota 10-0 all time when Arneson goes yard.
And got all of this ball. It was a pitch elevated in the zone. She stayed up with it, drove it out of the park. It's been the only run we've had in this game. And so you say, why not let her hit away in this situation? Why go to a sacrifice? Well, a 2-run lead in the 7th can feel like 20 sometimes to the opponent. Runs have been tough to come by against Amber Pfizer, really all season long, but especially in the postseason. And so Minnesota's feeling if they can just push 1 run across, 1 more, that gives them some breathing room going into the bottom of the 7th.
0-2, pitch coming. In the dirt, runner is going to second. And there you go, a team that rarely steals bases. Got their first of the postseason right there.
Well, this is a ball in the dirt, and great base running from Kemet Mueller. Keeps her feet moving, stays balanced. The minute that ball's in the dirt, she does not hesitate. That is a very long throw for Schlappman to throw her out. Minnesota with a runner in scoring position.
Arneson, not quite as deep this time, though she'll be retired. And that was a wild pitch, by the way, so jumped ahead of myself a little bit. It was not the first stolen base of the postseason for Minnesota, but the result the same. Kemet Mueller on second. 1 out now. Emma Burns, freshman out of South Dakota. Hits it right up the middle. Minnesota looking for more. They're going home, and they're safe.
And there's that second run for Minnesota. What a slide by Kemet Mueller, who goes around the backside, skids her hand underneath across the plate to go under the tag of Schlappman. A good throw from Andrews, but Minnesota has stayed aggressive. They have been the team in this Super Regional to come up with the timely hit. And look what the bottom of the order has been able to do for Minnesota in this Super Regional. It has been the difference.
So Minnesota tacking on one more here in the top of the 7th. A pinch hitter now coming up is sophomore Ann Miller. Miller hitting .308, has a pinch hitter for the Gophers this season. Had a single in the final game of the Minneapolis Regional as a pinch hitter. A couple of RBI there. Gorsuch gets set. 1-1 pitch, hit to Surratt at short. Out number 2. Surratt and LSU, Carol, trying to keep this thing close, give themselves a fighting chance at the bottom of the inning. Carly Brandt, the batter.
Can't talk enough about what the bottom of the order has done for Minnesota, and that can be the separating factor between advancing and going home a lot of times in the postseason. You expect the top of your order to be able to produce and perform. Championships are sometimes won by that bottom of the order. And especially when you have a pitcher like Amber Pfizer on the mound, who has just been so tough for Minnesota. Put up zeros so far on the scoreboard. Has pitched every pitch of this Super Regional for Minnesota.
Brandt fouls it off. And this is a Minnesota team that, when we met with the players a couple of days ago, one of the first things they said was, not a lot of people wanted us to get out of our regional. And I kind of looked at them, I said, why do you feel that way? They said, well, we always feel like we're the underdog. A team that's never been there before, never been able to host a Super, never been to Oklahoma City. Now as the sun lowers in the sky here in Minneapolis, the hopes rising for the Golden Gophers. A hit to left. The runner is coming home. The throw won't get there in time. Bottom of the order, bringing it again.
And this Minnesota crowd is on their feet as the inning continues. Another huge RBI for Carly Brandt, and the lead is now extended to 3. And when you have your 9 batter who can come up in that situation and extend the lead, it makes a big difference in a game.
Beltrina is going to make a change in the circle. Crowd sensing the end is near. We'll introduce you to the new LSU pitcher when we come back. Meredith Gorsuch, her day is done. 6 2/3 innings pitched, gave up 7 hits, 3 runs, all of them earned, no walks and 5 strikeouts. So that'll bring in Shelby Sinceri. Started game 1 yesterday. 13-game winner on the season for the Tigers.
Yeah, different look than Gorsuch. Gonna throw the ball with a little more velocity. Really works all parts of the zone, but this switch is all about a momentum change for LSU. Just having a tough time finding that last out of this inning.
McKenna Partain, the leadoff hitter, the batter, has been unable to get on so far tonight. Player who came into the Super Regional with an on-base percentage of 51%. She gets there a lot. Sinceri in there to keep that percentage dropping down if she can.
Yeah, Partain having a tough time getting on track in the Super Regional, yet she's usually the cog that makes this offense go. 6th in the country in terms of runs scored. Having a tough time getting on base in the Super Regional.
2nd straight year, all Big Ten first team selection. But watch that one come in, that will end it. The bottom of the order coming through for Minnesota. Now LSU needs the same to happen. Tigers one last chance to keep their season alive. They're on their feet in Minneapolis as Minnesota tacked on 2 more runs in the top of the 7th. They now lead it 3-0 and are 3 outs away from their first ever Women's College World Series. A huge player for this Minnesota team. Our Capital One player of the game, the pitcher, Amber Fizer.
And she hasn't dominated in her typical fashion of getting double-digit strikeouts, but she has controlled the LSU offense and has made big pitches when she's needed to with runners in scoring position to keep LSU off the board.
We saw the bottom of the order come up big for Minnesota now, the 8-9 batters to lead things off for LSU, a team whose motto all year long has been fight all the way, a team under Beth Torina that has been known for their fight in elimination games, to come back, to win on the road, but now they need 3. Tigers have only been shut out 3 times all season, but they have not been able to bring their runners around when they've had the opportunity, really in both games of this Super Regional. This is Michaela Schlottman, one of the seniors for this LSU team, that came out of the Baton Rouge Regional just on fire. Led the Tigers, hitting .400 to get them here to the Super Regional. Wanting to take this team back to the Women's College World Series, but they've got work to do. The 0-2 pitch bounces in the dirt for ball 1.
And Fizer, as the year has progressed, as the postseason has progressed, she has just been mentally tough. Said yesterday the win against LSU was her most mentally challenging win she's had, and yet here she has pitched a shutout so far in Game 2 of the Super Regional.
Schlottman to Kemet Mueller at third, bobbles it, but recovers in time. One down, 2 to go. For one team to move on where they've never gone before, if Minnesota can hang on here, and for LSU, second straight year they would end their season in the Super Regionals. Elise Thornhill back to bat, re-enters for the Tigers in the 9 spot. Both she and Antoine productive there, Carol.
Absolutely. In this Super Regional, the number 9 hitter, it's been both Thornhill and Antoine. 3 for 4 with a walk and a run. If they can turn this lineup over, got some power coming up for LSU. Of course, Andrews in the leadoff spot on deck. One of the fastest offensive players in the game, and then a lot of power for LSU. They need it now. Set a single season home run record with 74 home runs.
2-0 to Thornhill, hitter. Will that be a little spark of hope and motivation now for this LSU team? Because now they do indeed turn the lineup over with just 1 out and 1 on.
No, and there's not much about Amber Fizer that you can say this season that's been one of her Achilles' heel, but it has been some wild pitches, hit by pitch. That's her 22nd hit batter on the season.
So Aaliyah Andrews awaits. Junior speedster who's been kept off the base paths all night. Pinch runner coming over to first is Sydney Berg. Senior transfer from Nichols State. Her first appearance in this Super Regional. 3 for 3 on stolen base attempts this season for Berg. Most of the crowd on their feet, especially those behind home plate.
Well, and this is the time for Minnesota. You've got speed on first, speed at the plate. We've seen this combination quite a bit. So far, Minnesota's been able to work out of it every inning. The key is to get an out. You may not get the lead out, but it's so important to not get caught off guard by a runner in motion or the speed of Andrews, who makes you rush, makes you create chaos. Her whole game is making the defense play faster than they think they should. But Andrews only has one extra base hit this season in over 200 at-bats, so Minnesota's able to shorten the field.
Not her MO, but she hits this one fair into right field. Some hesitation from Berg at second, but out called on Andrews.
We've got an out-of-the-box call off Andrews. So Thornhill will go, Berg will go back to first base. And take a look at her feet here. And the left foot just over the line at the moment of bat ball contact. Remember, the feet have to be in the batter's box. Very close that time with Andrews. And a huge play in this game.
Wow. That brings it to 2 outs, 1 out remaining in LSU's season, and Amanda Sanchez at the plate. Sanchez to Partain, and that'll do it! The Gophers are going to Oklahoma City for the first time! A dream come true for Minnesota, and despair for the LSU Tigers as their season comes to a close.
And just sheer joy and excitement in the huddle for Minnesota. Coach Jamie Traxel, the first time
they know. They just saw something special. They just saw history made with Minnesota booking their spot in the Women's College World Series. Our bracket presented by Capital One, and it is one that sees this Minnesota team moving on. We expected some great games here in Minneapolis, and we got it. As always, a great time being with you here. Partner Carol Bruggeman by my side. I'm Jen Hildreth. Minnesota making a little history in front of a sold-out crowd and moving on to the Women's College World Series. Up next, it is Arizona and Ole Miss.
Okay. They aren't talking yet, right? Okay. Okay. All right.
No, wait. Hold on. Okay.
Thank you.
Joined now by Minnesota pitcher Amber Pfizer. Okay, you've had your game face on. We saw it both games of the Super Regional. But tell me about this moment right here, making a little history.
I mean, it is just incredible. I never thought that I would be wearing this hat right now, but I wouldn't be able to do it without this team.
Oh, Amber, you called yesterday's win in Game 1 your most mentally challenging win you've had this season, yet you come back and pitch a shutout. Talk about that.
I mean, I knew that the hitters were going to come out swinging today. They're going to be even more aggressive, and I know that as the weekend goes on, I tend to get stronger. So I had confidence in myself, and I knew that if they were going to put the ball in play, that the defense was ready, they were going to come out and execute as well, and it was just, I had a good feeling about today.
What else gives you a good feeling, Amber, about all these teammates around you and this group that is getting ready to go to Oklahoma City?
I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, we're like family out here, and we just have fun with everything we do. We trust each other. We always have each other's backs, and it's really special to have that kind of team.
It's been a pleasure watching you guys compete. Best of luck.
Thank you so much.
She knew exactly.
Can't wait to text her about that. In her face, you know, she was like.
Yep. Doesn't even look like Pfizer in my monitor. I didn't think it was her at first. I couldn't see her headband. I couldn't see her eye.
Thank you.